had a whole day that I wanted to write, and I haven't written. I have been stuck. I need to write a montage. I've never written a montage before. So I'm gonna try to do that now and talk my way through it, and maybe it'll be a train wreck, but maybe I'll end up with a montage at the end. Either way, you'll get to see what happens. A couple different approaches that I seen to actually formatting a montage. Looks like you can actually kind of call out montage and then kind of write them bulleted. That can work well if you have a montage happening like all in one location. Like you just create your scene, description of the scene, the location maybe, I don't know, and then montage, punch them in. My problem is, what I need to do is a little different. I actually have this Stork family's got the pandemic thing going on. We have a very normal sequence of scenes around them discovering this and initial reactions to it, and then I need 2 weeks to pass. And during those 2 weeks, tension is starting to rise. There's a couple different things that are happening. Kent and Charlotte, the parents, are increasingly at odds with each other because Kent is continuing to live his life like nothing has changed, while at the same time expecting the rest of the family just to quarantine carefully. Charlotte was sick initially. I'm not sure yet how I'm going to play with this, but Jefferson suggested, and I think it's a good idea, that the fact that Charlotte was sick with a cold should be a thing. Like, does she have this virus? So maybe there's some tension there. Charlotte's feeling stir crazy. She's frustrated at Kent for his duplicity. Kent is frustrated at her because he feels like he's working, and that's critical. And then the kids have been isolated. They're from friends. They're not going to school. Travis and Emily have been riding bikes a lot. I'm going to put that in there because at the end of this sequence, there's this culmination of all this the family members have towards one another. And with Travis and Emily, Travis finds out that his dad's basically blocked him from having access to the internet, and I'll talk about that here in a second. But he's like, fine, well, I'm going to go outside and ride bikes again, right? He likes riding bikes, and so he goes to ask Emily if she would like to go out, and she's really not wanting to do that, and it turns into this thing where he pressures her, and she's like, no. And so there needs to be some sequences of showing them riding bikes in there. Kent and Charlotte having some tension, arguing with each other. There's this thing between Kent and Travis. Travis is checking the news himself and is not seeing news supporting the level of reaction his dad's having to this pandemic, and so he's really doubting his dad and is mostly at his mom about it rather than going directly up against his dad. And Kent finds out about this from Charlotte and is finally like, you know what, I can't, we know, we can't tell the kids how we know, but we know that this thing is worse that's being reported, and we can't have them going and finding news from their alternative source. Actually, it's just mainstream media. We can't have them finding that and then contradicting us. So Kent blocks the internet except for certain things like Netflix, and they can watch TV shows, but they can't just peruse the internet freely. I think I've got some work to do to justify that whole thing. But somehow I think we need to show Travis doing a little bit of his own news gathering. So Travis doing news gathering, the two riding bikes together, and then Charlotte and Kent fighting, verbally just, arguing, I guess. I don't think it rises to the level of throwing things or anything like that, but maybe shouting at some point. And then in the scene, that culmination scene after we exit the montage, it's a nighttime. Is it a nighttime? I think it's a nighttime. I'll have to check this out. And that they have this culmination, and Emily is just sad. And one thing Emily started doing is every day in her calendar, she draws a picture of the virus, a little frowny face on it, a little circle with spikes or something, a little frowny face, just to mark the days since the virus first ruined her life and each new day that the virus ruins. And then, of course, Travis is trying to have fun. He's also interested in what's going on and trying to be involved in that, but his parents are not letting him in. And so they overhear the kids overhear the parents fighting, and Emily is sad. So I can see her, and Isaiah's my son who played the part, inspired it. Emily and Travis kind of just feeling really sad, hearing their parents, how things are going with their parents. Emily has this moment drawing the 16th, or was it 16th, 15th, 14th, something anyway. It was 2 weeks later, drawing this virus and just sitting at her desk and weeping because, like, her life is falling apart. Everything good is gone. Travis is still trying to hide from the negative side of it, so he's just like pulling a pillow over his head. But I feel like we need to build that tension in the montage to justify those reactions later. And I think that the approach that we're going to need to take is where the montage is made up of pieces of things that take place in scenes that take place in different locations. So one source I was looking at suggested that, and maybe even suggested it was preferred, go ahead and just write lots of scene headings, and it should be pretty obvious from these short scene descriptions that you're writing a montage. You don't even need to say, and there's a montage, just write the montage. So I think that's the approach I'm going to try here because I have so many different locations. I've also switched to Celtex. I mentioned that previously. So we'll be seeing Celtex today, and we've signed up for the Pro level thing. They've given us a 14-day trial, so we're actually using the Pro level. I don't know that we'll see any of those features, but it's probably worth mentioning it in case you try it and something looks different. Maybe it's related to the fact that I'm using the professional one that gives all the fancy collaboration stuff. Anyway, let's dig in and see what happens. Here is Celtex. So, take my jacket off. So I want to scroll through my comments here because this was actually all an idea from Jefferson to feel like something's lacking, the whole family, concern Emily's scene. Feel like a montage could work here before jumping. I mainly can't visualize a smooth 2 week later since I have a lot of questions. Okay, so so I'm just going to read through this scene. Interior Stork's house, kitchen, day. Charlotte stands at the counter pouring herself a bowl of granola with soy milk. Charlotte: right, how is it okay for him, but not me? The children burst in the door mid-conversation. They don't notice Charlotte as they kick off their shoes and helmets. Charlotte's on the phone. I think I clarified that previously. She's okay. She picks up her coffee. Charlotte, phone back to her. Yes, we've clarified that. Charlotte stands at the counter pouring herself a bowl of granola with soy milk. Let's just clarify. She's still on the phone. This is an interesting thing. If you're seeing how the text kind of comes in little blips, that's actually an issue I've been seeing with Celtex, and I don't know if it's my computer or them, but I've seen it in both the Pro level and the regular one. Um, Probably need to bring that up when I have a conversation with their rep again. Anyway, children burst in the door mid-conversation. Mid-conversation. They don't notice Charlotte as they kick off their shoes and helmets. Emily. It didn't say anything about it? Travis. No, I mean, it exists, but it's not bad like that. Emily notices her mom. Hi, Mom. Travis turns to face his mother as she walks to Emily. Charlotte to the kids. I'm talking to Heather. Charlotte hugs Emily and examines her for injury. Okay, Charlotte had been on the porch and Emily had had an accident. She'd seen it. She reaches for Travis as he brushes by, headed for the couch. Charlotte grabs her bowl and heads to the couch with Emily hanging close by. They cozy up together. Emily, can we see them? Charlotte. It's a problem. To Heather, it's a problem. He's going to have to work it out. Emily taps her mom's arm. Charlotte, hang on. Charlotte lowers the phone and puts it on speakerphone. Charlotte, can you put your kids on speakerphone? Emily wants to say hi. Emily is annoyed and squirms. Emily, whispering, no, Mom, can we see them? Heather, my kids are at school. Emily is surprised. Charlotte takes the phone off speaker and back to her head. Oops, of course. No, Ken wants to keep them home. He's really serious about everybody else. He's really serious about everyone else. Travis gets up and walks out, shaking his head. Emily is mad again. She snorts. Charlotte, I better go. Bye. Charlotte sets down her phone. Emily knows the answer, but asks anyway. Are Sage and Walker coming over? Charlotte shakes her head sadly. And then I had this next scene, interior Stork's house, parents' bedroom, night. 2 weeks later, Kent and Charlotte argue loudly as they get ready for bed. So this is where I think Jefferson would say, as a director, working off your script, what does 2 weeks later look like? I don't know. That's the problem. This is lazy screenwriting right here. I've put it off on the director to figure out how to visually tell 2 weeks later, and he's telling me about a montage. So let's read on a little bit, and then this is where we're going to montage here. Interior Stork's house, parents' bedroom, night. 2 weeks later, Kent and Charlotte argue loudly as they get ready for bed. It's been 2 weeks. This is way too. No, this is no way to live. I'm not a very good reader, if you hadn't noticed. Kent, it's tough. I get it. Charlotte, do you? How has your life changed? Kent, same as everybody's. Charlotte, oh, no, it hasn't. Nothing has changed for you. You still go to work. You still do your thing. You're stuck in the house, but the virus isn't dangerous for you. We're stuck in the house, but the virus isn't dangerous for you. Kent looks at her with disdain. You think I like this? I'm the one that's keeping us safe. Charlotte, you're the only one that thinks you're keeping us safe. Travis watches the news. How am I supposed to toe your line when everybody else says you're wrong? And you don't even act like you believe it, Kent. It's the truth. Charlotte, I'm working from home because of this. Why aren't you, Kent? It's not like that. Charlotte, it is like that. You need to get with the program, and I need to give the kids a life. Kent, the Fernsbys are the last people they should be around. Seth literally sees hundreds of people and has no clue how dangerous this is. Charlotte, and whose fault is that? Kent is angry but composes himself. He takes a deep breath. Kent, this is bigger than the Fernsbys. This is bigger than us. I'll shut down the office. Charlotte, good, but that doesn't make it okay. How many lives will you ruin to protect your cover? Kent, this isn't about the cover. It's about... Okay, so... Travis lies in bed listening to the muffled voices of his angry parents. He tosses and turns in discomfort, then pulls a pillow over his head. Emily lies in bed listening too. She's angry. She gets up and walks to her desk. She flicks on her lamp and stands staring at her clay virus that sits on her desk. Her body is tense and shaking. She tears a calendar off her wall and slams it down. It has caricatures of a grumpy virus, of a grumpy virus drawn in red on every day for the last 2 weeks. She gets up and walks to her desk. She flicks on her, stands staring at her clay virus. She tears a calendar off her wall and slams it down. It has caricatures of a virus. She sits down and draws one for today, Friday, ending with the frown. She draws a sharp breath, and a tear drops onto the calendar. She wipes it away, smearing the ink. Okay, that's where we need to get. The next scene is actually Travis that night. Just more tension, and that basically Travis has a tense night. He's in front of his computer trying to visit YouTube. It's the next morning he gets up. So I wanted to show the effect of the tension with his parents on Travis. He's lying in bed trying to sleep. It's dual glow emanates from it, so it's morning actually. It's early morning. He's trying to sleep, and he's like all tangled up in his bedclothes, like wrapped around his legs and stuff. And his jaw is clenched, like he's not sleeping peacefully. He gets up to check something on the internet, YouTube, and can't get on. And then there's this whole thing where he finds out that his dad has shut down the internet. All right, so that's some good context. Let's start with just blocking out some. How do we show 2 weeks passing? I really don't know. So we know we're gonna have bike scenes. We need Travis looking at news scenes. Tension between Charlotte and Kent scenes. We could do Kent at work and or lazy whispers, just to show that he's continuing to stay involved in his open source intelligence. So Charlotte Kent scenes. So we're gonna focus on. We need to show a building tension, and we need to show the passage of time. So to show the passage of time, I think we're gonna have to have a cadence of day scenes versus night scenes. So the bike scenes are going to obviously be day. Travis looking at news scenes could be day. Kent at work and lazy whisper scenes I think is also day. Tension between Kent and Charlotte, probably generally night. We have a nice balance though. So we don't need to have like 14 repetitions. I don't need to actually literally show 14 days. That does get mentioned. Let's take this 2 weeks later. Kent and Charlotte argue loudly as they get ready for bed. It's been 2 weeks. Okay. She says, "It's been 2 weeks. There's just no way to live." Okay, so I think it's okay that she speaks that, because that's a long time. That's her point, is to draw attention to the amount of time. So what do we end with here? Charlotte sets down her phone. Emily knows the answer, but asks anyway. Are Sage and Walker coming over? Alright, so what would be a good exit from that? I think we need to make it very clear that we're not trying to keep a sequence. Kids have already been riding bikes this morning. Kent is at work. So if we do shucks, I don't remember what is the scene info for Kent. Exterior house. Let me find this. Sproutley office. Interior Sproutley office day. Okay, that's the problem. Search for our spot. Good. I feel like a montage. Feeling a montage coming on. Were you even trying? I gotta go. Okay, that's not it. Oh. This is bigger than Kent Shrubs. Alright, here we go. So this is an interior, not an exterior. That's why it's popping up. So interior. Kent works at his desk. Various other people. I was going to say various. Other people are his work at the other desks in the background. Alright, I'm just going to leave it at that. So we have interior Sproutley office day. Kent works at his desk. So we have a Kent works at his desk scene. I don't think there's any need for him to be launching anything. Let's just keep that short. Travis looking at a news. So then we get the tension between Charlotte and Kent. How do we show that building? So Jefferson had this idea of doing like this. I don't know if it was like split time, like Kent is going on with his life while Charlotte is stuck in the same place and he doesn't even notice. Like she's sitting in the same chair every day, but he doesn't seem to notice. I really don't know what that is going to be. So let's do an interior Storks house. And Bedroom. I think I need to introduce the disagreement. Let's do this. Put them in the bathroom. Brush their teeth. Charlotte. I don't see how it's safe for you to be going to work. Let's just keep it at that. So that raises the question that and makes it clear that Kent's still going to work. Charlotte's got concerns about that early on. Kent works at his desk. People work at the other desk. Okay. So that's a Kent tension. That's a little bit of this tension. Let's do a day scene, interior, no. Get my formatting right here. Interior, Stork's house, Travis's bedroom, day, Travis, Travis enters an internet search for MERS-2 virus. A list of hits comes up, and he clicks on one. That's enough. He's doing some research. Let's do interior. Let's go to Emily's room. Stork's house, Emily's bedroom, night. So now we're going to do Emily sits at her desk drawing a picture. Of the virus in red with a frowny face. 5 days into the this delayed typing is really frustrating. I've got to talk to them about that. The sound of Kent and Charlotte arguing can be heard but is indistinct. Okay, so there's tension between them. Emily's not happy. So we looked at Travis. Night. I wonder if we need to look at a little bit of what's happening. I'm just going to try this. Interior, Stork's house, day. Charlotte sits on the couch, talking with the phone to her ear. Emily snuggles next to her. I think we need some dialogue. Let's do Charlotte. What is she saying? Something. I don't know what she's saying yet. But I want Travis walks in. And invites Emily. Travis. Let's ride bikes. And I think Emily slides off the couch. She's gonna come with him. What is Charlotte saying? It really needs to just be whatever. It's background noise. I don't know how to spell frowny apparently. Frowny. Oh, maybe I do. Emily slides off the couch, something. Okay, which makes them up. Non-distinct. Maybe they're dealing with merge 2. Alright, so now we're back to day. We need a night scene. Kind of want to go to Travis at night now. Travis, nope. Interior, Stork's house, Travis's bedroom, night. Travis lies in bed looking at the ceiling. The sound of Kent and Charlotte can be heard. What did I say above here? Emily says the sounds of Kent can be heard, but isn't be heard. It is indistinct. Same thing, be heard. Indistinctly. Okay. On his back. In bed, looking at the ceiling, the sound of Kent and Charlotte can hear. After. Travis clenches his jaw, then grabs thinking about having him play some music or something, but he doesn't have a cell phone. My son actually has a cell phone, so I'm always imagining him, but I don't want Travis to have a cell phone, because that makes some things too easy for him, I think. And it also makes shutting down his access much more difficult. At least it's a different thing. I don't know. Let's just have him clench his jaw, closes his eyes. After a moment, turns to his belly and buries his face in his pillow. Interior, Sproutly, office, day, Kent. Kent walks. Now we don't need that. Clint glances. Launches. Lazy. Whispers. Navigates to the MERS to anomalies page. I think that's all we need. So we had a bike scene. So I don't know that we've read a lot of biking yet. Maybe we just do exterior, Stork's house, gravel road, picnic. What scenes do I have here? House. Back porch, front porch. Bike trails. Travis's bike trails. Travis and Emily take turns. Travis and Emily. I think that's enough. So that's a day. Alright, I feel like I've got bike scenes, Travis looking at news scene. I've got one of these. Tension between Charlotte and Kent scenes. Kent at work, lazy whisper, so I knocked both those out. Travis looking at news. I feel like I need a little bit more. Interior, Travis, nope. Stork's house, Travis's bedroom, night. Actually, let's make this day. Man, there's so much I feel like I don't have sold yet. Like, Travis hasn't done any complaining. Let's do this here. Travis sits at his computer looking at a news article about the MERS 2 virus. Charlotte opens the door, and Charlotte opens the door. Let's suppose she's been doing laundry. That's very real, right? Charlotte. Get here folded. this article says winners. Isn't dangerous. What's a conspiracy theory? Okay, so that has that coming back. Bike scenes, we've got a mention of bikes and then some riding of bikes. There's two of those that establishes something that Travis looking at the news and then mentioning it to his mom. That's two of those. Tension between Charlotte and Kent scenes. We have the teeth brushing, and we have two of the kids going to bed listening to their parents arguing. Kent at work, and then lazy whispers. There's probably more that could go here, but I think this is going to be it. So this is a day scene. This is a day scene. Kent and Charlotte argue loudly as they get ready for bed. Okay, I'm going to call that good enough. Berries. Maybe spell berries. B-U-R-I-E-S, maybe? Berries? Okay, we're just going to go with that. Anyway. Alright, so I think we're going to call that good enough right now. It's a start, it's the structure of it, and I like some of it. Like, my feelings right now are that I'm on the right path, but I probably need a little space before I come back to it and review it, make sure it's solid and sells. So that's going to be it for this episode, I guess. Thanks for tuning in to Bootstrap Cinema, where we don't know what we're doing, but we always do it anyway, because we can. And thanks for putting up with my webcam. Toodles.